welcome to another Gaming the System bonus round. This time we are doing our top 8 badass female characters in video games, if that wasn't clear. Although I did consider including a board game character as my answer. But we're not. We're sticking with badass female characters in video games. So, for number 1, I'm going to go to Jem.
I knew you were going to come to me. My first one is going to be Max Caulfield from Life is Strange, which was such a cool game, and I don't know whether she's badass in the traditional sense, because she's really just kind of muddling through, but I think she handles a really challenging situation very well. So she's it's almost a sort of coming of age teen drama story, but with time travel and lots of difficult decisions to make in it, and a sort of end of the world scenario just thrown in there for fun. So it's all sorts of things really, and it's a really fun story, and she's a really interesting and fleshed out character really, and I really enjoyed playing that game and getting to know her and her life. And life is strange.
Indeed. Number 2, Alex.
Well, my first one's going to be very predictable, and it is Lara Croft. But only Lara Croft, really more from the classic era of the Tomb Raider, I would say from the early 90s onwards. But I think people are probably going to argue with me on this, because classic Lara, they might say, is not as multi-layered as modern Lara. But the one layer that classic Lara did have was a badass character. And so I'm going to stick with classic Lara as my answer, because she didn't take any shit. So, yeah.
That's interesting, because I've really enjoyed the modern Lara Croft games. I think they're fantastic. But you're right. She's a lot more vulnerable. She's a lot more. It's the first one where she's just constantly going, and stuff like that. So yeah, okay. No, I'm not going to argue with you on that too.
Fair enough.
So number 3 is going to be me. I've just decided to be really, really controversial with my choices on this. And so my badass female character I'm going for, and I am reaching back a bit here again, back to ye olden days. Although I know they still make Soul Calibur games, but frankly, nothing's ever been any good since Soul Calibur 2. Soul Calibur 2 was the definitive Soul Calibur game. And my favourite character in all of that was Ivy. Now, this is, we've said that it's not necessarily empowering for a female character to have high-heeled boots up to her thighs and to be wearing a leotard and to have her boobs hanging out. So I can see why this is not necessarily, but Ivy was rich, she was independent, she never took any shit from anybody, and she was, fighting purely to protect her people and her country, and I always got the feeling that she was the most kick-ass character in that entire thing. And her sword turned into a chain, which from the God of War shots I've seen, Matt, I feel like, that's a thing. This was going on long before, and it was very cool. And so I'm sticking with Ivy, and I don't care what anybody says. Number 4 is Matt.
Okay, so has anyone played Heavenly Sword?
No.
Okay, there's a woman in it. The main character is called Naruko, and it's got Andy Serkin in it as the evil king. It's it's got some of the most extraordinary combat, extraordinary puzzles, extraordinary characters, story, environments, gameplay, massive. This was on PlayStation 3, and I think it was 2008 maybe, so it was over 10 years ago, and it has the technical capability of something on PlayStation 4. Huge massive battles, incredible finishing moves. You fight with the Heavenly Sword, which is this blade that whoever wields it saps their life power the more you use it, so eventually it kills you. And Naruko has this blade which is as wide as she is, and she wields it like it's nothing. And it's she's played by Anna Torv, who is the main character of the TV show Fringe, which was incredible as well. And just it was made by the same people who made Senua's Sacrifice, so that's why it's so groundbreaking, because that's what they do.
Cool.
Nice. Right, and now, we're going to go back the other way. So, number 5, it's you again, Matt.
Okay. Then that actually is quite useful for me to lead back into Ninja Theory, which are the people who made Heavenly Sword and Senua's Sacrifice. It is Senua from Senua's Sacrifice. She is a woman, a picked woman, who has some form of mental illness, which she has been told that she is cursed. Because clearly mental illness isn't something that just popped up recently. People have existed with it since the dawn of humanity. And her lover, her partner, was brutally murdered, and she has taken his head to hell to try and get him back. And she's doing it with these horrifying demons and her affliction and the horror that brings, how it can strike you down and make you helpless at any second. And she is desperately fighting her way for this thing. And the journey and the resolution of it is just stunning. And the performance, the story, the character, the action, everything about it is someone overcoming appalling, unbearable terror to achieve something that they desire, which is what disabled people have to do every day to achieve the things that they want to achieve. It's a battle that a lot of people just do not understand if they haven't experienced it. And this game, I think, will open a lot of people's eyes.
Wow. So my number 6 is going to seem horribly glib now. It's really bad ordering this. But I can't think of someone else instead really quickly, and I had a little fun with the glib bit. But yeah, so my number 6 is Princess Peach. Right. Princess Peach, independent ruler, runs the entirety of her land, as responsible for large numbers of people. She is repeatedly kidnapped and taken by Bowser, God knows where, to whichever other universe and stuff like that. Does she need rescuing by Mario? Probably not. Frankly, in most cases, I think that he does more harm than good. He's winding up Bowser all the time. He's causing more issues. She would have got out of there without him, and she wouldn't keep being moved to a different location if it wasn't for Mario in the first place. So I am sticking with Princess Peach, even though it's ridiculously glib coming after Matt's deep, insightful point beforehand. So, number 7, Alex.
I'm going to go for Cassandra from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but in a way there's kind of like 2 versions of that character, depending on how you choose to play it. Spoilers for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, by the way, if you've not played all the way through the main story. You can either choose to play as Cassandra as your protagonist, or you can choose to play as Alexios, which is the male playable character. If you choose to play as Alexios, Cassandra kind of ends up being the villain of the piece, whereas it's the opposite way around if you choose Cassandra. And I think she's actually arguably more badass as the villain in the game. I think a lot of it has to do with the skill of the voice actress, who is, I think, far better than the male voice actor. But that's just my opinion, because they have done all the same lines, and I think his delivery was far less good than hers. Unfortunately, I've forgotten their names, but feel free to look them up if you wish to. But yes, I think she really enjoyed playing the villain, and that kind of comes through from the voice acting, which is really good.
Nice. And then for our final number 8, Jem.
I'm going to take us all back in time to 1998.
Excellent. It was a very good year for me.
Resident Evil 2. Claire Redfield, who was a student who suddenly found herself in the middle of Raccoon City, which is full of strange mutant creatures and horrible animals and all sorts of terrifying monsters. And I played this game with my housemates in my shared house in London, and I have many happy memories of this game. But I think mostly I spent more time screaming than my protagonist character did. But it was just really nice to play a female character, and you switch between her and Leon, who was a policeman, I should say police officer. So you didn't. It wasn't just her all the way through, but it was really nice to actually play a woman who could, use a gun, and was generally a relatively ordinary person stuck in an extremely extraordinary scenario and not cowering in a corner and needing to be rescued. And so back in those days. Back in the olden days, it was quite rare to have these female characters. So it was just the beginnings of all of that. So obviously Lara was around, I think, there. But
Brilliant. Right, well, that is our top 8 badass women characters. And I can't say like, share, subscribe without just stumbling over my words. It's like it's easier. In fact, I shouldn't pick on Matt every time. So Jem, what do we want people to do?
We need to like and share and subscribe and ring a little bell. And that will alert you when we have things going out.
And then next time we do this, I'm going to get Alex to do it. Right. So, excellent.
I'll be prepared. It's fine.
Cool. I'm going to stop recording. Unless anyone wants to say something really funny.